Hi, this is Megan from Beadaholique, and today I'm going to show you how to make a wire-wrapped feather headband. And I'm going to be using some 18 gauge square silver-plated wire. And you want to make sure that your wire is nice and square with definite corners to it, so that when you twist it, you get this really pretty ornate look to it. And we're also going to be using some 20 gauge half round wire. The half round is half a circle, basically. It has a rounded side and a flat side, and it allows the wire to sit flat against what you're working on. And you need a blank headband. I'm using silver plated wire with a black headband because I have dark hair, and so for me, when I wear this, it makes the feather look like it's floating off of the headband. It's pretty cool. But you can choose different finishes for your headband and for your wire depending on your preferences. And then you'll also need some tools. You need chain nose pliers, a nylon jaw chain nose plier, a round nose plier, some flush cutters, and then you're going to need one of these. This is called a pin vise, and this is what you use to twist the wire. So the first thing we're going to do is cut the lengths of square wire that are used to form the feather shape. I just cut 3 pieces that are about 12 inches, and then I'm cutting 3 pieces that are about 10 inches. And it's not an exact science. You're going to end up trimming down a little bit from what you have on there when you're done. So you're going to take all of your pieces of the square wire, and when you cut them, the first thing you want to do is use your nylon jaw pliers and run the wire through them to straighten it out, as it can get really bent up, and that's not the best way to start working with it. Then what we're going to do is fold the pieces in half. You can see I already have the other ones folded in half. It takes a little while, so I don't want to make you watch me do it, but I will show you how to do it with one. Go ahead and grab a piece about halfway in some chain nose pliers, and then just squish it towards you. If it's not exactly halfway, it's not the end of the world. And the square wire, you want to make sure that it's not twisted when you start. You want to make sure that it's nice and flat when you start. When you're working with wire, if you want to avoid marking up and scratching up your wire, you can use nylon jaw pliers. I don't find that they give quite as strong of a grip, so you got to kind of decide if it's more important to get a grip on it or if it's more important to keep it from being scratched. This part here, you can see these ones are all marked up. It's going to get covered mostly right here with other wire, so I just go ahead and use the chain nose pliers. And you want to kind of, once you have it flattened out, put it between the jaws of the chain nose, hold it down and squish it. Try not to pinch your fingers in there too badly though. Just get it flattened out. This is why I didn't make you watch me do all of them. It takes a little while. You want to get it all the way flat because this is going to be all bundled together. You can hold it still too with another pair of pliers if it's moving around a lot. And then you're going to take your pliers and try to straighten out that bend so it's not all crooked. Then you're going to hold on with one pair of pliers and use your nylon jaws to straighten out the ends. Once you get this part straightened, you can just hold it with your fingers. And again, you're going to have all 6 folded pieces bundled up together, so you need these to be nice and straight so that they'll sit together in a little square or rectangle. So you're going to take your longer pieces and line them up right up next to each other. And then you're going to take the shorter pieces and put them on top. and it can be a little challenging to hold them all together at once. Once you get them relatively bundled up in a little 2x3 rectangle, then you're going to grab your half round wire and start wrapping them up. For this, I did not cut a length of the half round. I'm working straight from the little bundle that it comes in because I'm not sure exactly how much I'm going to need as I wrap around. So make sure you have a fair amount that you're starting to work with, or else you might need to open up a new package. Also want to make sure that it's not tangled up, that it's going to come off the spool pretty freely. So if it's all twisted up, you want to make sure that it's a little bit more free first. All right, then you take your square wires and you're going to wrap with the flat side of your half round against the bundle of square wires. You're going to wrap around and flip it over and make sure you don't lose your wires. I'm going to take the tail end and just bend it down so that that can sit up underneath so that it doesn't move around. All right. So you want to start near the bottom and make sure that you're getting all of the ends. Don't go all the way to the bottom, it'll fly right off. And I'm going to go back over that second spot, the second loop that was there first, to kind of hold in place. It's okay if it makes kind of a bump there. You can always flatten it out. And just get these wrapped. If it is too bumpy, just go ahead and push it down. And once you have these wrapped a little bit, then I'm going to go ahead and just wrap them right onto the side of the headband to hold it in place. So you just grab the headband and continue to wrap around. And just make sure you don't get tangled up on the other sides. And it can take some practice to be able to get a nice, neat wrap. You can also go back and flatten it out and make it look a little bit neater. And you want to go ahead and wrap about 3/4 of an inch from the bottom. So you have a nice solid foundation. It's going to hold them in place and it's going to hold it firmly onto the headband without moving around. I'll do one more. Okay, once you have everything in place, I'm just going to tighten that up. Now it's time to start moving the wires over to the sides. So what I'm going to be doing is taking the top row first, the top layer, and bending a wire to the outside. And I want it to have this stepped kind of look, so I'm going to bend one out, wrap around, bend one on the other side, wrap around. And it's kind of free form, so you can just do it in the order and frequency that you like. I'm going to start in that edge there, and I'm just going to bend one out. Make sure when you pull on that you aren't pulling it free of the wire at the bottom. And as I start to wrap these, I'm going to give more space between my wraps here. And you can do two with one surround, you can do one on either end, or you can wrap around again and wait until the next loop to pull one out there. All of that's gonna determine how long it is between the start and the end of your feather, like between here and here. But it's, again, it's kind of freeform. I'll do two on the next one. Just make sure you keep the flat side of your wire down when you're wrapping. It keeps the surface nice and flush against the square wire. And do the top layer first. And then you can move on to the bottom layer. And as you work, you want to bend the wires that are going against the headband into a gentle curve also. And you're going to keep going until you have one left that's flush to the headband. And go ahead and wrap around it once or twice to secure it. And then you're going to cut a couple of inches further than the last piece. Bring it around to the front, and then you're just going to pull this away from the headband and then wrap it around and keep the flat side of the half round against the square side, the square wire. And this will keep it nice and snug by wrapping it a lot of times close together at the end, just like we did at the beginning. And when you get to the end, you want to use chain nose pliers or nylon jaw pliers to make sure that the wire is wrapped flat and not with a sharp end sticking out. So take the sharp side all the way around to the back. All right, so this does not look very pretty at this point. It doesn't look very much like that. So next we're going to trim these down, and you can go with kind of a fan shape, and it's okay if one side is a little longer. I have this side being a little bit shorter and this side being longer and having it kind of go in that direction. So we'll go that way on this one. So I'm going to have this side be a little shorter since I have some short ones in there. And I'm just going to kind of fan it down that way so that it's a gradual. And you want to use the flat side of your flush cutters so that it leaves you a nice blunt edge here. And then I'm just going to continue that kind of a shape on this side, but a little bit longer. Okay, and now I'm going to twist the wires. And what you do is you open the pin vise onto a size that will fit, and if you unscrew this all the way, you can flip these around to get a bigger size too, but I know that this size here fits just fine. All you do is unscrew that a little bit, insert just the very tip. You only want to insert up to, maybe up to 1/4 of an inch, but between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch into there, and then screw it back down. And then you hold on to the base and you rotate the pin vise. When you get it nice and twisted up, unscrew and go to the next one. And you're just going to go ahead and do that with all of the edges here. Okay, so once you have your whole spray of wires, nice and twisted up. Then we're going to use round nose pliers to give them the looped around kind of a look. So you'll take your shorter side, and on the shorter side, I'm gonna have them all looped down. And on the longer side, I'm gonna have just the bottom one looped down and the rest looped forward. So just take the very end of the wire in the round nose pliers and bend it around until it meets. That's going to keep it from being sharp too if you make sure it's touching. And I'm just going to keep doing that all the way around. Okay, and this one also that way, and then this last one I'm going to loop the other way so that it faces down. Then I'm going to take chain nose pliers, and again you can use nylon jaw pliers for this if you want to make sure not to scratch up the wire, but I think that it's worth it to get a better grip from the pliers. So you're going to take that loop and hold it down really tight at the base, and then bend the wire around to get that nice bend at the end. And then I just use a pair of round nose pliers. They kind of help you from getting a hard corner when you do this. And you can also use your fingers to give a nice bend. And you're just going to bend the wires. Again, this is kind of a free-form project, so you want to just bend it the way you like it and see what you think looks good. Once you get them going, you can get them all bent over to that side. And your top one should keep nice and tall. It's good to have one that kind of stands up. The other ones you can kind of play with curling them more. That last one you might want to curl really far. And just play with it until you like the way that it looks. On this side, I'm going to curl this bottom one down similar to that bottom one and get it a little bit more curled up. But leave it taller. And then the look that I'm going for over here is kind of where it sweeps back to follow that curve. So I'm going to actually bend it forward a little and then back a little just with my fingers. So I feel like it makes it look a little bit more feather-like. Okay, and then just continue until you like the end result. Okay, and then when you like the shape that you have, go ahead and bend them a little bit to go with the curve of the headband. And then bend them down a little so that they don't stick up flat. If you bend them too much, it's going to go right into your hair and disappear. So just play with it and get it at a level that you like. And you can go back and neaten up your bottom. I just want to push the wires up and into place. And you can tighten them down to make them lay nice and flat. And you can keep playing with that, and then until you find the look that you like. And that's how you make a wire wrapped feather headband.